Hi everyone, welcome back. So another fluid art creation. I'm using my split cup and I'm also using a number of colours in that split cup, but just a black and white swipe over the top. So I did a creation recently where I used my split cup and just did black and white, and I did a ring pour on the base, and then I used 4 different colours, a blue, a turquoise, a silver and another blue. So there was a Prussian blue and a sky blue, and I swiped those colours over the top. But I thought to myself, what will happen if I reverse that method? So in the split cup, have the 4 colours and do the ring pour, and then just swipe the black and white over the top of those colours. I don't know. I'm going to experiment, and that's what I really love about these techniques. I get one idea, I do a creation, and then other ideas come in and I just have to give it a go. So let's see what happens. I'm glad you're here with me. Let's see what we can create. So these are the 4 colours that I'm actually going to put into my split cup this time. So I've got an iridescent silver by Pebeo. I've got a green turquoise, or turquoise green by Amsterdam, Prussian blue by Amsterdam, and a sky blue light by Amsterdam. So they're my colours that I'm going to put in my split cup. So I'm going to show you the consistencies and then put the colours in this cup, and then I'm going to swipe over with some black and white. Okay, so here's my pouring medium, this one here, and this is the Floetrol for the cell activator. So you can see here my pouring medium is Otrol. That's the European version of the US version of Floetrol. So that's the pouring medium. That's what I mix with my paint, and I add water. And then this here is Floetrol, Australian Flood Floetrol. This is the paint conditioner that's added to paint. Usually for me it's Amsterdam. This is the cell activator. So by adding this paint conditioner to a paint like lamp black, like I'm doing today, that's what's going to be the cell activator. That's what I'm going to swipe with. This is the pouring medium. So the paint conditioner that I mix together with my paint and water, which acts as the pouring medium. So I just wanted to show you those 2 bottles. That's what I use here in the UK. As I said, this Otrol version of Floetrol, I know the US version is a bit more liquid, so I find the Otrol a bit more thicker than the US version of Floetrol. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to list all these details in the description box below as well. So here we go. Here are the consistencies. A bit thicker than like a Dutch pour consistency. You'll see that it trickles off the spatula into the cup and leaves a trace before disappearing. And that's the same with all of these colours. So it just shows a trace before disappearing. I'll list all the consistencies in the box below. I do have a black and white. I mixed up a larger batch of black and white because I'm doing various creations with these. I will list everything in the description box below, but I'm really excited for this. I'll also describe the cell activator and how that's made, and I'll talk about my pouring medium as well. So my canvas is a 20 by 20 inch. They're on my stands already. I have painted the sides with black, just so I've got good coverage on those sides. So the canvas is ready, the paint is mixed, let's go. So I've got my split cup here, 4 different compartments, 4 different colours. So I've decided to have the Prussian blue and the sky light blue on each end, and then in the middle the green turquoise and then the iridescent silver. So I'm going to place each of these paints in these sections, and then I'll do the ring pour. So let's get one of the blues in. Just literally pouring it from the cup into the split cup. And I'm going to do that with all of these paints. So I did decide to just swap those 2 colours round. I'm putting the silver in between the green turquoise and the sky blue. So I just wanted to split the green turquoise and the blue up slightly. And then Prussian blue, one of my most favourite colours. I do love a Prussian blue. Who else is with me with the Prussian blue? I think it's a gorgeous colour. Okay, so the colours are in my cup. They're level. So let's ring pour. So I've got my 4 colours in my split cup, and as you can see, I'm doing wide circular motions as I'm pouring the paint from the split cup onto the canvas. Just going round and round in a circular motion, and you can see how those colours are infusing together, but also the lines that are being created by going round and round in this ring pour. I've used up all my paint that's in the cup, but I will add some more paint to the corners and the edges. But before I do that, I'm just going to pick up my canvas and I'm just going to open up that creation a little bit before I continue with the process. Picking up the canvas and just swirling that paint that's already on that surface area in a circular motion. And as I do that, you can witness here already how that pattern is already opening up. I'm just slowly swirling the canvas in a circular motion. I'm not going from side to side. I'm just spreading that paint across some of that surface area before I do some swiping. I am going to add a little bit more paint to those corners just to help the paint flow freely across that surface area. But I'll show you more about that in the next part of the process. So now for the swipe. And the swipe, I'm just using black and white. So I'm going to place some of the black paint and some of the white paint on top of those 4 colours that I've used for my ring pour. And then I'm going to swipe over the top using a black cell activator. But first of all, let's get that black and white paint down on our canvas on top of those ring pours. So before I start, I just want to show you, that's my spatula, my palette knife for the swipe. And this is my mixture. This is my cell activator. Lamp Black by Amsterdam plus Australian Floetrol. So 1 part paint, 4 parts Australian Floetrol. You can see the thickness there. Almost just kind of glides off the spatula and disappears. So that's going to be my cell activator, and I'm using black today. So as I said, I'm just going to add a little bit more black paint to each of these corners. I want that pattern on top not to distort too much more, but I also want the paint to be able to flow freely across that canvas when I start tilting it out. So that's why I'm just adding some paint to the corners before I start stretching it out even more. So now I'm going to use my cell activator and placing that paint on my palette knife, and then I'm just going to use the palette knife to create those cells and that lacing. I place the palette knife on top of those black and white stripes that I've added on top of that ring pour. I allow the palette knife to just rest on top of that paint, and I just drag it in that direction. You'll see that the paint's already starting to react. You can see the cells just there. I'm just going to spread a little bit more of that black cell activator out. A little bit more, just to create some more cells on this side. And then I'm going to repeat that process with the other black and white stripes I've added by adding some more cell activator to my palette knife and swiping across that ring pour. I'm loving that cell detail. Let me quickly show you how it looks. Look at that combination just there and there. So now it's going to be about opening up these designs. So I'm going to pick my canvas up and I'm just going to tilt the canvas in different directions, opening up the ring pour a little bit more, but also stretching those cells and that lacing across those two corners. I'm going to take my time, there's no rush for this, but as you do it, just watch how that pattern changes, how that paint expands across the surface area and goes down the edges. And I bring that paint back on in itself. And what I mean by that is I tilt it in one direction and then tilt it in the opposite direction to bring that paint back onto the canvas to allow me to use that volume of paint that's already there to be stretched across that full canvas surface area. And it's really about looking at the design, how it evolves and how it organically opens up by just tilting that canvas. I take a look at the composition. I want that balance of ring pour plus that detail of those cells and lacing as they open up. So the concentration on my face actually amuses me when I watch it back. But I'm just in that moment, I'm in that creation moment, and I'm just watching at how all those cells react, how those lines really open up. So when you do this, don't put any pressure on yourself to do it really quickly. Just enjoy being in that process of the here and now. Okay, so I'm happy with the overall look. I'm going to use my torch just to pop any air bubbles and to help any more cell reaction with that lacing. Once I've finished with the torch, I'm going to place that to one side and I'm going to take you in for a closer look at the wet version. I'll let it dry, and then I'll also show you a closer look at the dry version. So I'm just going over that surface area with the torch, popping any air bubbles and just helping any further cell reaction with that lacing. Right, let me take you in now. This is the wet version. I'm going to take you in a bit closer so you can see some of those details, so you can see some of that lacing, and how you can see some of those lines that have opened up in that ring pour. I love how the lacing goes over the edge on this corner. That's probably one of my favourite parts of this canvas. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So guys, here's the dry version. I absolutely love it. And I just love that ring pour in the middle and how those 4 colours from that split cup have created some really nice lines and patterns. And then there's that detail on those corners with the lacing created by the swipe. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've had fun watching, and if you try this yourself, let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for all of your support. It really does mean the world to me, and I hope I get to see you again in the next video. Take care everyone, and I'll see you soon. Have a great week ahead, and happy creating. Bye.